Hi everyone, welcome back to part 3 of filling my fall junk journals. I am going to finish up with part 3 of this series, and this will basically show you the last little bits of things that I was doing in the journal to fill it up, and then I will do a flip through at the very end of this video if you want to kind of see what the journals look like all done. So now I am taking these little strips that I had made in probably several weeks ago, and now I'm just going to rip them up and then I'm going to add them throughout the two books. And I really like these because you can kind of create them and then later on fill them in wherever you want. You can see here I use scrap pieces of paper that I trimmed off of the paper that I added to the album, so it's perfect. So that was what the base was. I used some washi tape on the base and then used just various pieces from the kit, either ephemera. I also had doilies, some cheesecloth, I used sequins, a bunch of different things, and I did some sewing. So I did both the longer strips and then these clusters. The clusters, I actually did have a video of these, so you can see those in this little video series. Probably early on I made these little clusters, and now I'm just using them to fill up the journal. So I still have little bits pieces like tags and little snippets and cards and things like that, so I'm kind of going through those and trying to figure out where they might fit in. So on this little cluster I only glued two of the sides, and then that will allow for a little tuck. And you can see I have added other things in this album that I didn't necessarily video, so when you see the full flip through you'll kind of see how everything kind of looks all done. Again, here I'm only gluing on two sides, so I have a place to tuck in another pieces of ephemera. I just have a lot of little pieces left, so I wanted to make sure I could kind of fill this album up. This is a little envelope I made, or a little, envelope I guess. Here's some more little tags. Just trying to figure out what I think would go best there and fit nicely. So here's some more of those little clusters that I made. I'm going to glue this one down again on two sides so that you can tuck little pieces into the cluster. And I have some of these little cards that are going to fit in nicely. And I have another piece of kind of plain paper. I don't want to fill this up too much just because I want to have some journaling spots on it, but these little clusters and stuff add a little bit extra fun stuff, but doesn't cover up, the entire background. So on this one I'm going to glue four sides, and this will allow me to tuck little cards into this as well. So it will add extra journaling space, extra fun embellishments, and then you can still pull out whatever is in the little pocket so you can still journal on this coffee dyed paper. So just making sure everything's glued down. I didn't ink the edges, so I wanted to have those little finished edges done. So I'm just gluing that down, and then I will tuck in some things here. And it's a really shallow pocket, but it works nice to hold some of these little extra pieces that came in the kit. And these are just printed on thicker paper and then just inked around, and I printed on the back too. So I'm going to take another one of these longer strips that I made, ink the ends after I rip it out, and then glue that to the top. This one I'm just gluing on straight all the way on. I'm not going to try to tuck anything or do anything like that to this one. Just holding it down for a few seconds to make sure everything sticks. And then I'm going to continue flipping through, trying to find out what looks best on what pages. This little cluster is also just going to be glued straight down. It's kind of a smaller cluster, so I didn't feel like I needed to add anything to tuck behind it. It's just going to be embellishment on that corner. Here's a little envelope that came in the kit that I put some backing paper on, and I'm just going to glue everything together now because I obviously only glued the backing paper to the top portion of it, and so the rest of the inside's kind of ugly. So this will allow for other little embellishments to fit in there. You can tuck a little secret in there. I wanted to find a place that I can make it adhered to here, so I'm thinking about using this little tag pocket that came in the kit. Again, I'm going to just glue on three sides. This will allow you to stick something behind it if you'd like, and then the little envelope will fit in the pocket really nicely so it has a little home. I do think I'm going to embellish this a bit, just I felt like it was a little plain still. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. This little tickets, I was thinking about kind of clipping in one of the top corners of one of the album pages. So I'll play with this idea for a little bit, and I kind of finagle with it. And I was going to do it like that. And I was getting ready to staple it, I think, but then I decided, no, I don't really like how that looks. So I'm just kind of, flipping around, being a little bit indecisive. I'm going to snip some of this that I that I sewed to make this little kind of ruffle trim. This is just scrap paper, or not scrap paper, I'm sorry, scrap fabric. My mom is a quilter and she gave me a bunch of her, like basically trash. And so I went through the trash and I pulled the pieces that were nice and I made little ruffles from that paper, or sorry, I keep saying paper, that fabric. Other things I just kept because they were a little bit bigger pieces, but it was all scrap, so it was perfect. So anytime she has like a bin of scraps from her quilting and sewing that she's doing, she just gives that to me, and then I get to do the little things like that with it. So I'm still messing with these two little tags. I feel like I need to have some kind of texture, like fabric texture underneath it. I mess with this little piece of cloth here. This is just tea dyed or coffee dyed, like muslin, and I'm going to make a little tab with it. And so then I think I'm going to stick those little tickets there. But I don't know, I still didn't really like how it was looking, so I'm just going to stick this one down by stapling it. Again, using those staples that I colored brown in a previous video, I think. And then I'm just going to glue this down so it's not flapping around. So that's what I ended up doing with this piece, and I'll use that other little ticket someplace else. Now I'm going to go back to the little envelope and put it in the little pocket. I was just waiting for the pocket to be dry a little bit so it wasn't too much to put that little envelope in. And I decided I do want to fill the envelope with something, and the little tag that I had with the woman on it, it was a little bit too small for this pocket, so I'm just going to bulk it up a bit by adding a piece of this cream colored cardstock and putting it as a backing, so it's going to have like a layered tag, just snipping off the edges to mimic the tag shape. And I'm going to ink around everything, and then I will glue that to the card, and then I'll add some more embellishing too, so you'll see that here in a second. I want to make sure it's wide enough to get some of the bulk from this. I am going to, I think I snipped some of this off. That one yellow was a bit too thick. Oh no, I'm going to make a little ruffle with the paper instead because I just thought that the fabric was just a little bit too much. So I'm just roughly ruffling it with my fingers, and then I will end up sewing down the middle of this, I believe. And then I'm going to trim out one of these little sayings, which is harvest. I'm going to add that to here as well. Again, trying to keep it not too much because I don't want it to be too bulky because it will go in this little envelope, but I did want to give it a little extra fun to it instead of being so plain. So I'm just going to glue everything down, and I guess I decided I didn't need to sew on that ruffle because I am going to add that word strip and you wouldn't see the sewing anyway. So I'm just going to glue everything down, make sure everything is straight. And then that's going to get stuck down at the bottom, and I like that little extra texture it gives. And then harvest will pop on the top of that, just making sure everything's glued down so it doesn't go anywhere and it lays flat. And I really like how that looks. Just adds a little something without being too bulky. And then I'm trying to decide if I want to add anything else to it, and I do think I decided to add, yep, this leaf. Just inking around it because it has this white border and I didn't like how that looked. And then we'll just tuck right there, and then that's perfect. I don't remember if I added anything to the back of this tag or not. I think I might have kept it plain. I did sew around it. Yeah, so I did sew around the tag just to give it some more texture, but kept it plain so you can journal on the back of it. And then now it's going to tuck in that little pocket. So it is getting kind of bulky. You can see here I'm kind of messing with it, seeing like how much more do I want to put in here? Do I want to keep adding stuff to it? Messing with the cover a little bit. I do like the cheesecloth around there, but it was getting a little bulky. I will trim that off a little bit later. Here is a little flip I'm going to make. I had these big, huge tag shapes and I didn't really know how to use them, so I decided to make a flip. So I'm just taking some of this muslin fabric that I coffee dyed, and I'm going to add it to the edge here to make a little flip, and then this little tag is going to end up going on this page. So it's got a fun embellishment, but behind it you have the white paper, or the, not white paper, but the tea dye paper, so that you can still journal, and then you can journal on the back of this tag as well. So I thought this would be a nice little way to get these tags in the journal and still have place to write. So that fit perfectly there. I'm just going to make sure everything is glued down and sticking. Again, using my Beacon 3-in-1 glue, that works perfect for this kind of fabric material. And then just making sure everything's going to stay in that album okay. Here is another little kind of faux notebook that I'm going to turn into a little notebook so that it can be used as a little journaling area too. So I'm just going to fold up this coffee dyed paper and then trim it up, and then that's what's going to go inside the little book here. And I am doing some measuring, trying to figure out, I don't know why I even bother, but I'm just trying to do some measuring to see what's going to work. And I want to make the pages even, so I don't know. Sometimes if I just fold it, it's probably easier, but I decided I wanted to be a little more fancy and measure this time. So I'm going to score on the places where I measured so that's going to fold nicely, and then I will trim off that extra little sliver there at the end. And then that will give me the guidelines to fold this. I'm just going to fold it. Use my bone folder to make sure it's creased well, and I am going to accordion fold it. And really, I'm just kind of playing here, to be honest. I'm not exactly sure what I was going to do with it. I don't know exactly what was going to work, so just kind of playing to see what will work. So I'm going to trim the edge here, and then that will just cut off the two pieces so they're separated. And now I will have two little books here. And what's going to end up happening is I am going to end up gluing one to one side and one to the other side, so they kind of flip out from either side. So you'll see this in a second. Like I said, this was kind of a experiment in progress. Like I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to do it, so I was just kind of playing, and then this is what I ended up coming out with. So you can see here how they just accordion out. So I did have some places where when I scored it, it kind of tore the paper, so I thought I would use that to my advantage, and I would kind of use some, not kind of, but use some washi tape in some of the areas. One, to reinforce those edges that I did score, and then two, for some decorative pieces. So even though I didn't cut through all of the edges when I was doing the scoring, I thought it would be nice to just add it throughout, and it would just be a decorative element. So you can see here I'm going to add more to the other page as well. Again, just making it look like I have repaired some stuff and just adding some color to these pages as well. So here I'm just sticking that down and then flipping it over. I don't know, I just think it adds a little bit of extra something to these pages that otherwise be left blank. And I think it looks cute. So it was both practical and decorative. Just going to flip that over the top. And these are washi tapes from Tim Holtz. I thought they went really well with this collection. They have that kind of grungy, muted tones to them, and there are a lot of the colors on these tapes are in the kit, so it seemed to be pretty perfect to go here. So now I am going to figure out how this is all going to fit in here, and I am going to take my glue stick and glue down the pages so that they end up fitting on either side. And again, this is pretty thin paper, so the glue stick works really well for this application. And there you can see it all tucks in. Do the same exact thing on the other side. And then you'll have two little accordion type looking things that fold out from either side. Lots of journaling space here. So you can do journaling, you can glue ephemera here, movie tickets, you know, whatever seems to work and whatever you're doing in your journal. You can just journal. And then I'm just using my bone folder to make sure everything is very creased and nice and lays as flat as possible. I like how that looks. I thought that was cute. And I figured I would do just a little bit more embellishing. Since I had so many of these pieces left, I wanted to use some of them up. So I will glue a couple of pieces to these pages here. Just inking around them because they had that white edge and I didn't want that to make it look so stark on the background. So I do ink around these things. I tried to get most of that out of the video because you don't need to watch me inking all the time. But I like how that looks. It adds just a little extra splash of color and dimension. So I'm just looking to see what other leaves I might be able to use on a couple more of these pages. I want to keep it pretty minimal. I don't want to do too much, but I do want to add a little bit extra. So I pulled out that leaf. I'm looking at some of these pumpkins and other, like apple basket is what this one is. I'm going to add that here. I think I'm going to add that yellow leaf to the other side. Just inking around that again. And again, it just adds a little extra something, but doesn't take up too much of the writing space, so you still have a lot of places to write. This the kits that I got from My Porch Prints they're just a lot of things and die cuts in these kits. So the Harvest one was really great. They were a couple different kits, but they had so much stuff in them. So I think I purchased 3-ish kits in total to make these 2 albums, and I think I only printed 1 printout of each of the kits, so it went a long way, and I definitely have extra left over. So now what I'm doing is I'm just trimming up this cover. I had this cheesecloth on here from when I made the cover, and I didn't want to trim it at the beginning because I wasn't exactly sure how I wanted to look, so I waited till the point when I was done with the album to kind of just trim it up and kind of give it a haircut. So now I'm going to do a flip through of the completed journal. Pretty much both journals are the same. You may see me adding a couple more pieces as I go through the flip through, just because I thought as I was going through that maybe needed something, but pretty much this is the finished journal. The other one is, like I said, very, very similar. If you have any questions about anything, let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video and the series, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, I would love to have you as a subscriber. Anytime that you want to know that a video has been posted, you can click on that bell that's below. And like I said, if you have any questions about the journal, anything I made, any of the embellishments, or anything else, please leave those in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys. I enjoy talking with you in the comments, so comments are always appreciated. And yeah, so I'm just kind of showing you a flip through. Like I said, some of these pieces and things I did on camera, some of them I did, off camera, but you can kind of see how they all end up looking here. And here's that little embellishment pocket that I made in one of the videos. And I just clipped that to the side with a little paper clip with a little piece of fabric snipped to it. Here's another little folder. I made another notebook for a more journaling spot. I thought, well, this tab really needs something, and I have these little strips, so I'm going to cut out thankful, and that works perfectly on that tab, so it kind of finishes that file folder up. I thought that was a nice touch, and it really finished everything off nicely. So just flipping through the rest of the things, I thought, oh, I don't have anything right here. I should see if there's anything else I want to put there, but I decided I'm just going to show you. Here's an envelope I think I did off camera, just another little pocket there in the front, and then a bigger pocket that I just added a piece of dictionary paper to, clipping that on the side with another paper clip with a little piece of fabric. Just some more little embellishments you can write on or add ephemera to. Just another pockets with some journaling spots and ephemera. Another pocket, and that's pretty much it. I want to thank you guys so much and have a great day. Bye bye.